Welcome to the Albuquerque Museum. We're here today to celebrate and commemorate a very important part of our history. When I arrived here in 2006, we were about to celebrate the 40th anniversary, and in the past 10 years, we've made significant progress engaging our community at the museum. Even though the Albuquerque Museum is still a fairly young museum, its collection, educational programs, and reputation have grown greatly due to the hard work of many current and former staff members. And I just want to take about 2 seconds to acknowledge Jim Moore, who's with us today, who was the director here. He was the director for 26 years. And also Ellen Landis. Ellen, back there. Ellen was our curator of art for 26 years. And the reason I want to mention them is because a great deal of the fantastic things and artwork and history that you find in this museum was due to their efforts. And we are, thank you. So the museum has grown as Albuquerque has grown, and it's one of the most significant museum venues in New Mexico, attracting national and international traveling exhibits and audiences, as well as being the caretaker of the city's art and cultural legacy. We think our mission says it all. The Albuquerque Museum, where the community is involved in art and history and shares its stories of its rich heritage and many cultures. We bring the museum to Albuquerque, and we bring the world to Albuquerque. The Albuquerque Museum, as you may know, is a division of the city of Albuquerque, from whence comes its major guidance and support. So it's my honor now to introduce the head of our Cultural Services Department, of which the museum is a part of, and that is Dana Feldman. Dana.
Thank you, Kathy, and thank you for everyone for being here today. We are celebrating 5 decades of history, and 5 decades seems like a really long time, but when you compare that to all the great museums in Europe and in Asia and the Middle East and all the other museums that you can think of, 5 decades is not very long. But I say that to say, look how far this place has come since its humble beginnings at the Sunport into what you see now, and especially into this beautiful exhibit that was opened just a few years ago. A lot has happened here in 50 years, and I'd like to say probably more than some of those more well-known and well-established or longer-established museums across the world. I was thinking a little bit today, those museums have the Mona Lisa, but we have the Pueblo Indian woman of Taos. Those places have the Blue Boy, but we have our friend in Lady, please buy 1 chicken. And those places have American Gothic, but we have the portrait of Mr. and Mrs. Armijo in Common Ground. We have our friends, we have our unique artifacts and our unique works of art that you can't find anywhere else. And of course, the museum's not just about art, it is about history. And we start tracking it at about 12,000 years with the Clovis Spear Point. It's a little bit different, but I was looking today, the Metropolitan Museum of Art in New York City boasts that it starts 5,000 years ago. So we're already ahead of that as well. I'm just very proud, that's all I have to say. And as Kathy mentioned too, we've also been able to be a spotlight in the international art world and been able to attract exhibits from around the world and bring those exhibits to the citizens of Albuquerque and of New Mexico. We've come such a far way in such a short amount of time, and it's really thanks to the public support of this facility and their realization of how important it is in our community. And our record of success is also due to the team that we have right here in this room, also to the folks who have helped get us here over the years. And so it's the past, it's the present team members, it's the past and the present docents, and it's really your dedication to this wonderful venue that makes it all happen. I'd also like to thank the Albuquerque Museum Foundation for being in lockstep with the museum and its mission for dozens and dozens of years. We can't do it without the foundation and the support of the director, Emily Blogren Fox. And thank you for being here as well. She's going to speak a few words in just a few minutes. And finally, I'd like to thank and recognize Mayor Barry for supporting many of the changes that have taken place at this museum during the past 8 years. One of those is what we're standing in here right now. This gorgeous exhibit that we had the history exhibit for 30 plus years that desperately needed an update, and look what we got. And part of that is due to your all's hard work and due to the mayor's support. So Mayor, I'd like to invite you up and actually offer you a gift here on your visit to the museum. We're doing something also very unique this year for the 50th anniversary. We're producing 4 catalog books. This is the first one. We have one for Casa San Isidro, which is our historic home in Corrales. We'll have one for the photo archives, over 130,000 images in that photo archive. So I'm sure picking those pictures was not easy, but it'll be great to have that exposure. And then we have one for the art collection here and one for the history collection. So this is the first one, and I'd like to present it to you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Beautiful. Thank you. Can I mention the photo archive?
Yes.
Can I mention that? That'd be okay? Don't want to get ahead of ourselves there a little bit. Well, welcome everybody. Thank you so much. What a great day for us to celebrate. And when you think about what we're celebrating, it's a long list. I tell you, Maria and I we love the arts. We love performing arts. We love music. We love all kinds of cultural interaction. We've traveled to Madrid, to the Prado. We've been to the Uffizi Gallery in Florence. We've been to the Louvre. We've been to the Met, of course, like we all have. We really enjoy visiting, but no place more than this. This is us. This is our place. This room is one of my favorite rooms in Albuquerque. The Only in Albuquerque exhibit was a great addition several years ago. This is a great place to bring friends and family, to be an ambassador for our place, to show our place off, to show off our traditions, our culture, our history, our creativity as a state and as a city, and as peoples that have been here for many generations. So to have, as you said, a 50th anniversary seems like a spring chicken, as my grandma would say. But it really encompasses centuries and generations. And so congratulations to everybody. As has already been said, this started in 1967. And it was a small exhibit at the time, but it's a mighty place. And we have a long history in institutions for art, history, and culture. This is one of the leading institutions in the Southwest, with more than 10,000 works of art, 27,000 historical objects, and more than 130,000 items in photo archives. Little tip to the citizenry. I've actually purchased, and you can too, photos from the photo archive here. So if you come down the mayor's office and you walk down the hallways, you'll see some really cool vintage pictures from Albuquerque. And you can actually come down and pay the museum. They're like, yay, send more people. But you can actually pay to have some of these cool photographs in your business or in your home. So come down and really immerse yourself. And you can sit there and look through the photo galleries or the photo archives for quite a long time. So there's lots of reasons why this is a successful place. Last year, between Casa San Isidro and the museum, we had over 135,000 visitors. That's about a 12% increase from 2014. So Kathy, congratulations to you and your staff, Dana, everybody that's out there, the foundation board, Emily, everybody that's out there singing the song, promoting this place. And we can do even better. We should be out there every day telling folks to come down here. I brought mayors from other cities here. I brought family and friends from around the country. And I think you could probably even host a dinner in this room if you decided that you wanted to do that. So here I am, the head sales manager for the museum today. But this is great. And this Only in Albuquerque exhibit is just an example of an ongoing commitment. So this is made possible through $4.7 million in funding, of which $2.6 million came from the GeoBond program and $135 million came from the Albuquerque Museum Foundation and the Tricentennial Committee. So that tells us a couple of things. It tells us that we have an engaged and an active community from the philanthropy side. You have people in Albuquerque that are willing to reach into their wallet or their purse and pull out an extraordinary amount of money to make sure that this place stays great. So to the foundation members, to the board in particular, everybody that comes together and is passionate about this, gratitude from the mayor. You are rock stars, and you're making sure that this not only survives but thrives down here. So now we have this 9,300 square foot Basically, only in Albuquerque. This is us exhibit, and it really works great. So a couple of things for the public too. We want to invite you down here on September 7th, which is the museum's actual anniversary date. We're going to do a throwback Thursday. You're going to pay 25 cents, which is the same price as you would have paid in 1967. So that's a great day. I know when we have discounted days at the zoo, we just get lots and lots of people. So tell your friends and neighbors, let's get complete families down here to fall in love with this place. And then during the museum's third Thursday, on September 21st, the anniversary will be celebrated by special tours, a poem by our poet laureate. We didn't have a poet laureate a couple of years ago. I think we're on our third now. It's Jessica Helen Lopez, a fantastic poet. Hakeem Bellamy, our first poet laureate. I actually hired him. I was so impressed. He worked in the mayor's office for quite a while. And then also Chris Dracup, who's a great local musician, will be here along with Funk of the West. So it's a great chance to come down here and celebrate. I was telling the crew here earlier, I was here actually on Sunday playing guitar with Felix y los Gatos as part of a fundraiser for Heading Home. So that's a great place to listen to, not necessarily me play music, but it's a great place to listen to really good musicians play music. So as you've heard, also, we have some great exhibits coming up in the next couple of years. Your next mayor will stand here and introduce some amazing exhibits. We've got 4,000 years of Spanish art coming here, including major works by Goya, Velázquez, El Greco. That will be coming to the Albuquerque Museum next year. We'll have treasures from the Hispanic Society of America out of New York that will open in November of 2018, and then Albuquerque will be the first U.S. city to host the traveling display of these world-renowned works of art from the Hispanic Society. So this isn't just a monumental museum, it's monumental to the state of New Mexico, and it's monumental to us in the city of Albuquerque. And lastly, I just want to say thanks to a couple of people. Museums are interesting to me and my family, and I'm sure you're the same, because it's not just a place to look at art. It is that. It's a place to slow down for a moment. It's a place to contemplate, think about our past, our present, and our future. But it's also a place that has wonderful programming. My son took advantage when he was smaller of programs here. You can bring your kids and grandkids or come down yourself. We have world-class exhibitions, and that's not possible if you don't have a dedicated and hardworking staff and leadership and volunteers and all the docents that come down here, passionate group. If you meet them, I see some smiling here today. Special thanks also to, again, Dana Feldman, who's our Cultural Services Director, Kathy Wright, and all of her staff. Let's give them a big round of applause right now. And I know you're going to hear from Emily Blogrund Fox here, and I want to thank her again and her foundation and the board of directors. And we have a proclamation that we will leave here today. We'd be happy to hand that out. And you want me to read it, or if I?
Yes, if you could read it, there's the proclamation.
Don't give me, okay, so she gave me the not the old guy version, she gave me the official version that's in size 8 font. So what I'm going to do is hand this to you, Kathy. And then I'll read the old guy version. This is an executive order from the Office of the Mayor. Whereas the Albuquerque Museum of Art and History opened its doors to the public on September 7th of 1967 in the Albuquerque Sunport with a modest collection of local artifacts, and whereas in a short 50 years, Albuquerque Museum of Art and History has grown to currently consisting of 10,000 works of art, 27,000 historical objects, and more than 130,000 items in photo archives at its current home in the heart of Old Town. And whereas the Albuquerque Museum of Art and History has become the cultural cornerstone of our city, collecting, preserving, and exhibiting important art and historical artifacts of the people of Albuquerque and the central Rio Grande Valley. And whereas the Albuquerque Museum of Art and History has enhanced our community with world-class traveling exhibits, a permanent art collection that features acclaimed New Mexican artists like Georgia O'Keeffe and Luis Jimenez. And whereas the Albuquerque Museum of Art and History shares stories of our rich heritage and our many cultures, bringing Albuquerque to the world and the world to Albuquerque with more than 135,000 visitors annually. And whereas we look back with pride at the 50 years of accomplishments in service of the Albuquerque Museum of Art and History, and we look forward to its expanding success in the future, Now therefore, I, Richard J. Berry, Mayor of the City of Albuquerque, do hereby proclaim September 7th, 2017 as the Albuquerque Museum of Art and History Day. So I look forward to seeing everybody down here on the 7th and also on the 21st, or just any day that you see fit to come down. We'd love to see you. Get out there and spread the word, and thank you to everybody that has made this such a great success for our city. I will now turn it back, I think, to Kathy to bring Emily up. So thank you so much.
I just want to say that we have a little comment pad at the front desk, and we get lots of comments these days from people from out of town who say, wow, I didn't expect to find this kind of a museum in Albuquerque. So we are very proud of that, but we could not do it without the Albuquerque Museum Foundation, and I'd like to introduce Emily Blaugren-Fox, the executive director. They make it possible for us to do fantastic things here.
Welcome, everybody. I've just been in place not even quite a year, so it's not on my watch that all these wonderful things have happened, but we hope to have a lot more wonderful things in the future. I just would like for you to know that our mission with the foundation is to further the cultural and educational programs at the Albuquerque Museum, which includes Casa San Isidro, through broad public and private support, and gifts and volunteer support is also very critical. As an independent nonprofit corporation, the foundation's purpose is to encourage the development of the museum as an outstanding museum of its kind in the Southwest. Just since 2003, the foundation has raised and gifted approximately $12 million to this museum and Casa. It's amazing. This support comes from our tremendous membership program and members at all levels, and corporate and personal gifts, special events such as Arts Thrive, which used to be Miniatures and More, and Shaken Not Stirred, and finally estate gifts, which those estate gifts are critical to building our endowment. And continuing to build our endowment will be the catalyst to sustaining this world-class museum. I am the 5th executive director in the history of this organization. Prior to me, we had Donna Hankinson, Gail Doyle, Regina Chavez, and Deborah Romero. There have been hundreds of volunteer board members, who I think there's a couple of them here over the years, dedicating untold hours and to strengthening our organization and fulfilling our mission. Our current staff is 9, which there are several staff members. Would you please raise your hand? Come on. And this is another very, very dedicated, passionate group of people here to support the museum and Casa. I encourage everyone here, if you aren't already, to become a member of the museum and join our family. Your support is important to continuing this rich programming and serving our entire community. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Berry, and thank you, Emily, for being here today, and honored guest. I'd like to invite you now to go through the galleries. This is our history gallery, but right next door is our fantastic art collection. We have our community history gallery across the way, and we also have a special exhibit of Likia de Yuse's jewelry and carvings in our Western Gallery, which is spectacular. So thank you all for being here today. We invite you back anytime, and we really appreciate your support. Thank you so much.